Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Tasmania has landed a major slice of a multi-billion-dollar pie. The state is on track to be the foundation of the world's largest renewable energy project, tipped as the manufacturing powerhouse.
Putting Tasmania firmly at the centre of the green energy map.
Tasmania is positioned to be the global leader of connecting the globe and connecting that renewable energy.
Sun Cable is giving Bell Bay the tick of approval, named as the preferred site to build an advanced cable manufacturing plant, becoming the first place in the Southern Hemisphere to do so.
We have, fended off, if you like, 30 locations across the globe.
There are only 4 major providers of these cables in the world, and now we're coming to Tasmania.
The state landing a $2 billion share of the Australian company's multi-billion-dollar solar energy project, playing a critical role in supplying power to Darwin and on to Singapore.
That's a long extension cord and they need somewhere to build it.
The project is tipped to spark a jobs boom, creating more than 1,200 construction and full-time roles, also injecting $350 million into the local economy each operating year.
This is going to be a significant generational investment.
We can do job creation in a meaningful way that impacts on the longevity and the prosperity of our communities.
Sun Cable will soon begin the consultation process, speaking with the community and local stakeholders. It's only early days, but if the proposal is successful, it's hoped shovels will be in the ground by 2025. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
Some of Tasmania's best wineries were front and centre at this year's Spring in the Vines Festival. The 3-day event, a chance for visitors to sample some of the finest drops around, while giving small wineries vital exposure.
Vines, wines and everything in between.
Cheers! Cheers!
Hundreds have spent the past 3 days wining and dining their way through 38 of the best wine producers across southern Tasmania as part of the Spring in the Vines Festival.
And it's really an opportunity for smaller players, but also the well-established ones, to join forces and get together and provide a platform for people to try the wines.
And that's what they did. Festival goers making their way through tastings from sparkling to Pinot Noir.
So we've just made it to the second Pinot. And so far they've been really good. The whites were also quite nice.
Food, music and views also on the menu.
Exposes the wineries and the growers to another public. And in our case, we've got music, as you can hear in the background.
Many enjoying the weather with a top drop.
I think probably the current vintage Chardonnay, the 2022 Upland Chardonnay. It's got lovely white peach flavours.
Oh, the bubbles, definitely the bubbles.
Yeah. Red I'd prefer, but
bubbles in the sunshine.
Yeah.
While others like Clements Hill in the Coal River Valley open just once a year for the signature event.
We've seen a lot of the bigger players hosting the smaller places that might not have their own cellar doors.
Next year's trail expected to be the biggest one yet. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Former Greens leader of 15 years, Cassie O'Connor, will run as the Tasmanian Greens candidate for the Legislative Council seat of Hobart. She's set to spend the next 6 months campaigning, confident it's a seat she will be able to win, with her focus on some important issues.
Social justice, a fair society, looking after this beautiful city we all love, making sure government is investing in the hospitals and the schools that people pay for and deserve.
She is a person who is what people of Hobart have been looking for in the upper house, a voice for climate action, a voice for social justice.
An election for a new member of the Upper House will take place on May 4, following Rob Valentine's announcement that he won't be recontesting the seat. Old Beach turned up the weather for the final day of the Baskerville Historics. Motorheads of all ages packed out the hill for prime viewing of this year's stellar car lineup. Many travelling in for the occasion.
You can see the whole track. You know, it's not like Symonds. Symonds Plains is a nice place, but it's not elevated enough.
It's a really good track. You can see most of it from just about anywhere around. So I've really liked it, actually.
All profits made will be pumped back into the circuit. A Tasmanian mother whose child dropped out of school says she has no faith in the government's promise of increased support for students living with disabilities. It comes after Education Minister Roger Yench accepted 12 recommendations highlighted in a review of the Educational Adjustments funding model. Labor now calling for a proper plan on how it will implement the advice.
It's so disappointing when you've got a young man with oodles of potential that's not receiving that support. These children don't go to school just to survive. They're supposed to strive.
There is a need for the government to support schools better when it comes to leadership in schools, workforce capacity, communication with parents, and in Sharon's case, a transition from those key points in schooling.
The Premier says his government has invested in and reformed the funding model and will continue to break down barriers to quality education. The Jack Jumpers have redeemed themselves against Brisbane, celebrating their first win at Launceston Silverdome since joining the league. Round 6 made even more special as the teams marked Indigenous Week, acknowledging Australia's First Nations people.
Matching up against a team they'd lost to just 5 days prior, the Jack Jumpers had plenty to prove.
Doyle chucks it up to Lee. Beautiful.
Tasmania off to a promising start with 9 points on the board when Brisbane first made net.
Recycled his own miss. Bannon comes in and puts it back in.
The Bullets bouncing back in the second quarter.
Throws it up to the big man.
Doyle refusing to let history repeat, clinching back-to-back shots.
It's okay, Milton Doyle, to be a little selfish. Like, you're too good to be getting 10 shots a game.
Spectators on the edge of their seats with no telling who would claim victory.
Tight ball game. Hitch Norton. What a round.
Pressure at its peak as the final countdown begun. The teams only 2 points apart. Former Jack Jumper Sam McDaniel fumbling a chance to level the scoreboard with just 2 seconds on the clock.
Tassie holds on. Oh, man.
A thrilling 87-point win for the Jackies and the first Launceston has laid eyes on since the 2021-22 season. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
6 months after nearly being forced into recess due to a severe lack of playing numbers, the Hobart Tigers are confident their problems are in the past. The SFL club slowly rebuilding after a horror 12 months, also preparing to mark a significant birthday next year.
A new skin for a Tasmanian tiger defying extinction. The Hobart Tigers club rooms have been refurbished in time for their 80th anniversary, as the club looks to send a message.
And we really wanted to show our players and our members that we're here for the long term, and we've been really lucky we've been able to renovate the facility here.
They nearly never made it to 80. The club that produced the likes of Alistair Lynch and Jeremy Howe almost ended up like the Thylacine, when just 8 players trained in March.
We came down here, just right in front of where you're standing now. We had a board meeting and we basically pulled the pin.
A last-ditch session featuring Matthew Armstrong and Jay Schultz scraping enough players together for a reserve side. This pre-season, however, is set to be a different story. In a remarkable turnaround, the club says it already has 40 players signed up, confident it will have 2 SFL teams.
A few weeks before the season last year, we had about 10 or 15 players training on the track, so to compare that to 40 now is quite a difference.
Forced us to try and achieve things in a short period of time that probably you'd do over a long period of time.
Their near-death experience teaching them tough but valuable lessons.
The lesson is strong culture and good people creates an environment that people want to be a part of.
Making the players feel like they belonged here.
A senior coach is still needed along with a few more players. But for those who did the hard yards, Round 1 2024 will be special.
I'm sure there'll be a few more tears when we run out in Round 1 in the senior competition.
Hopefully strong and bold once again. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania are the Division 2 national champions of wheelchair AFL. It was a rematch with the combined New South Wales ACT team for the title game. Tasmania starting off strong, keeping their opponents to single digits in the first half and eventually winning by 33 points. In the WBBL, the Hurricanes' 3-game win streak has been snapped, with Brisbane winning by 6 wickets with 16 balls remaining. Elise Villani scoring 58 runs not out, the overs limit saving the team from further humiliation by the Heat bowlers. They'll travel to Sydney on Thursday to take on the Thunder. Peter Siddle faced his old side in today's Sheffield Shield match between Victoria and Tasmania. The Vics won the toss and elected to bowl first at City Power Centre. It wasn't Matthew Wade that Siddle's side had to worry about. Charlie Wakeham hitting a first innings century. Tim Ward scoring 67. At stumps, Tasmania were 4 for 282. In Hockey 1, the Tassie Tigers women lost by 7 goals in a one-sided affair against the New South Wales Pride in Sydney. Madison Brooks scoring the team's only goal in the 43rd minute. Meanwhile, in the men's, it was a much closer affair, the game ending in a draw. Hayden Belts with the equalising goal in the 60th minute.
Good evening. Today, Hobart not quite meeting their expected top, reaching 15 today. Much warmer in Launceston though, 21. Devonport and Burnie both 17. 21 also at Bushy Park, Friendly Beaches 19. The common temp across the state 18 on the islands, Smithton, Low Head, St Helens and Groville 18. Mariah Island and Lyowini 15 degrees. The satellite shows mostly cloudy conditions over the north of Tasmania and patchy cloud in the south. Areas of low-level cloud sits over the state and the east coast of the mainland due to the high-pressure system just west of Tasmania. Convective cloud is seen due to thunderstorms over eastern New South Wales and Queensland and also northern WA as a result of surface troughs. Tomorrow, a high-pressure system lies over the Tasman Sea, extending a ridge over the east coast of the mainland. Multiple troughs extend across WA, Northern Australia, and along the SA, New South Wales and Victorian border. South-east to northeasterly winds, 5 to 15 knots, reaching 15 to 25 knots in the northwest. Mild southwesterly swells building up to 2 metres in the west and south. Tomorrow, Hobart, partly cloudy, 21 degrees, similar in Dover, 19. Partly cloudy, although warming up in Ouse tomorrow with a lovely 25. Launceston, partly cloudy for Recreation Day, 23. Devonport, also partly cloudy, 19. Much the same in Scottsdale, 20 degrees. Burnie, mostly sunny skies, 17. Mostly sunny also in Strawn, 21. Stanley, 19, with sunny and windy conditions expected. St Helens, cloudy, 19. Swansea, partly cloudy, 20. Also partly cloudy in Ross. 22 is the top. Forecast for Tuesday, isolated showers developing about the northwest, extending inland, with possible thunderstorms about the northwest. Wednesday, showers about the west and south, extending statewide during the day, with possible thunderstorms continuing. Thursday, showers statewide, easing in the evening. The chance of possible thunderstorms remain, contracting east and clearing in the evening. Mostly sunny conditions expected for Melbourne and Adelaide tomorrow, with 28, 23 and cloudy in Sydney. Possible showers in Brisbane, 24. Thunderstorms forecast for Darwin with 34 degrees.
And that's all your news for this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.